climate change could be addressed at different levels. One level of addressing it would be what can we do to reduce global warming and climate change coming from that. And that's all. Basically, the world scientific community has gone very much in that direction. And then in the list of that the World Bank provided, and I quote, I think, in one of the articles, not I think here, but maybe in the New Republic article, the list of safe energy sources, safe, S-A-F-E, safe energy. It's thought to be solar, wind power, wave, and nuclear. Now, I'm very suspicious of nuclear energy for many different reasons. I'm, of course, very concerned about nuclear armament. That's a further issue. But I'm now talking about peaceful process in acquiring energy through nuclear fission. Now, first of all, the probability of accident even is low. If we have the world dotted with these things, they amount to something. They're not as difficult. It's like the way it's almost similar to when people say that, somebody says, well, you give me a paisa and twice of that, and then twice of that later day, and soon mount. And I think we're going towards mounting. The accident happened to happen recently, the Fukushima, in one of the most sophisticated countries. And that indicates that it probably isn't as easy to stop it as people are tempted to think. In any case, with even very low probability, a sufficient number will do it. The other thing is that it's particularly open to terrorism. That if that had been a nuclear, you actually have to drop a normal bomb, not a nuclear bomb, on a power site. And with a certain probability, it will generate a disaster. And when you take that into account, and that's not a very hard thing to do, this is opening up a huge amount of terrorist favorite ground. So when what happened in San Bernardino or in Taj Mahal Hotel in November some years ago, what happened in Tarapur, you would not be talking about hundreds, you would be talking about millions. And until that happens, it won't be a discussable issue. But it is discussable right now, thinking slowly. And there's also the issue of nuclear test and threatening. A terrorist organization would love it. India is particularly prone to terrorist attacks. We have every reason to worry about it. There's also the problem of disposal of what happens to the nuclear thing. They are accumulated. They ultimately will go, but you may have to wait for 100 million years for them to get out of your way. And so it's just adding and adding and adding. What do you do with them? And the idea that you bury them somewhere, well, then could they be excavated? Could some use be made of that? Do you have to keep on guarding more and more places around the world? I think it's a non-viable technology. And I think the time to stop that is right now. And I'm just amazed that it has got such a good press in the world. And you see, in this respect, I have some grumble about scientists. Scientists complain, absolutely rightly, that they understand global warming so clearly that the public skepticism, especially in the United States, which is going down, by the way, is very difficult to understand. And they're right in that. Scientists know more than the general public does. But I think the general public's fear of nuclear could be actually a better decisional attitude, decision theoretic attitude, taking a probability of attack as well as what's the worst that can happen, maximin approach. And there I think the scientists have not been very smart. I've found, since I live in most of the time in Cambridge when I'm not here, or in visiting England or Italy, but that the great scientists of Harvard, MIT, and so on, very hard to convince them about the nuclear thing because they're so obsessed with that, like one idea on one side of a danger, that you won't get that thing. I'm sorry I went on to it because you touched a chord on me, because I think we ought to really take a very strong attitude and declassify it in the World Bank list from being safe energy and treat it as what they say is a very dangerous energy.